Let's start it back, man. We don't produce plywood.
You take this, then you do this, then you do this.
Quicker. What happening?
Boom.
Yeah, man. Investing. Payment first.
Then boom. Man, the labor cost in Vietnam, right? The growth for the last 15 years is just crazy. Correct me if I'm wrong, when I came to Vietnam in 2006 at the furniture factories, a regular worker, not skillful, would receive how much?
150 at that time, which is in terms of dong, our currency, it's around 3 mil. It's around $150 a month, including their overtime working.
And you're talking about a skillful worker or just a regular worker?
Regular one.
Just a regular one. With the overtime, what do you mean? Like how many hours?
They're gonna work until like 8, 9 p.m. in the evening.
If they're doing just one shift without overtime, from what time do they start, what time do they finish?
Normally factories started at 7, some factories start at 7:30. Let's say 7, and it's morning shift, they're gonna be like 11:30, and then they have 1 hour break for lunch, for nap, whatever. you know our culture.
Yeah, and Vietnamese culture, like everyone have to nap.
Yeah,
it's like no exception. Everyone have to have a nap. So that's an hour, right?
Even for my family factory, used to be before.
Yeah.
We have like 1.5 hour, but now I think it changed to 1 hour.
Okay.
But I say average factory, they have 1 hour shift, like break. And then let's say they started at 12:30, they finish at 4:30.
So they would start at 7 until 4:30, and that's without overtime?
Without overtime, yeah.
And then if you add overtime, they have another 1 hour break or 30 minutes break?
Normally 30-minute break, and then they work in maybe 3-4 hours, depends how urgent they work on the orders. Yeah.
So and that would be around until 8-9, right?
Yeah.
So they would start at 7, they would finish at 8-9, and then they sleep, wake up, repeat.
And a lot of factories running like 7 days a week.
7 days a week.
Yeah, 7 days a week. Like so.
Not always. It just depends on if they're busy or
when busy time.
In the busy period.
Yeah, that's normal. When the factory are busy with the orders.
Their salaries, on average, for a regular worker back then was $100 to $150 with overtime.
With overtime, yeah.
Right. Wow. I mean, that's so much work, man, for $150 if you think about it. But then that was back then. And what about now?
If we compare, it's at the same time working, it's going to be double now, include working time, or overtime, sorry.
From what I understand, from what I saw, that at least they're getting now $300, just like 6 million.
6 to 7.
6 to 7 million. Now the Vietnam dong just dropped a little bit, right? So in terms of dollars, it wouldn't be correct one. But just before the drop, it would have been starting from at least $280, right? That would be the minimum. So from 280 like plus, so up to 350, and that's just for, this is just for regular workers.
Regular workers. Skillful worker is going to be like 20-30% more.
Back then and now.
Now, yeah. In the factory, you have like average workers, which is average people who don't know anything about furniture can get in and start. And skillful, which is like a few years, 1 year, a few years experience.
And what is the structure for HR in Vietnam? Basically, I believe it was the same before and now. Like anyone with the zero skills can just walk into the factory and they will get hired.
Yeah.
Because there is still not enough employees, right?
Yeah.
All the factories now still now suffering from not having enough workers. So just a regular guy with zero knowledge would walk in and he will get employed, like guaranteed, or they would hire almost anyone, or how does it work? Or a person need to have some set of skills?
Because in a factory, they're gonna have like many different jobs, very easy jobs. Like they set it up everything, the workers just stand there, put the wood in or, do something very easy, so everybody can do it. So that's kind of, we call it average workers.
And then after a few years, if a guy or girl like bright enough, they can move up, right?
They can promote it to like I said before, like there are many layers, you know, in factory in terms of HR. Each jobs very easy, like average people can do it. So if they like working in a year or 6 months, if they smart enough, they promote it to be like control a group of people, like 3-4 guys, so that they have different group of people doing different things. That group packing, like chair,
like basically like a supervisor.
Yeah. So they supervisor for a small group.
Yeah, okay.
You go and watch,
make sure that they work.
Yeah. The workers who experience enough gonna be chosen to that position.
And usually they're supervising, or they're also working, like they're doing things with their hand, or they're only monitoring other people, or it depends on the case.
Supervisor like that, they just watching like 3 or 4 or 5 workers, because in production furniture factory they got like we call A to Z, but means that from cutting, shaping, sanding, like assembling, finishing, packing, like 7 or something like steps.
Yeah.
So each area, we got one manager, and that manager, their main job is go around. But some guys, they used to work with their hands.
Yeah.
Even when they promoted to that position, manager of one, division, they're still working.
No, that's very difficult. Like a good professional guy, right? A good specialist. For him to become a manager, it's actually a totally different mindset, and which you need to learn and practice. You cannot just like, it doesn't happen. It doesn't tweak just like that, right? And is it like a common problem that it was happening all the time, that it's very difficult to adjust, like basically to switch from being a specialist into being a manager?
They're not trained in school to be that position. They get promoted because they have experience enough to get promoted, but in their mentality, they're not prepared for that yet.
Yeah.
We need to observe which guy can be in that position, and need to train him, help him, support him, during the time.
In my understanding, in Vietnam, there is no developed like system, like educational system for the furniture industry, like a school or a training center where you'll get your employees, specialists, people who you want to promote. It's like, okay, you go study there and you'll get promoted. There is nothing like that here.
No, not really.
So you just basically go and just learn the hard way at the factory.
Especially for this business, for the job. We will have school. University who teaching furniture, like furniture making, or furniture designing, whatever. School and the factory is always different. There one time that I was still in the factory at the company from my family. And there's a group of professors of one university went to our factory through our association. So they want to go there, talking with us, and then we have the meeting. I'm the guy who was talking to them. I saw something. What we doing with me is normal. With them is kind of look strange. It's not good or not, but I mean that they in school they're not. It's kind of reality,
Yeah,
it's like kind of back behind from reality.
Yeah. In school it would be like, look, you take this, then you do this, then you do this, right? One step, second step, then you follow this formula, and then this is what you get. But at the factory it's different. I face the same kind of misunderstanding with the customers, right? Like a lot of customers think, look, but you have the certain formula to follow to create the finish, right? So you're doing it at the factory, right? You have that measure, you take this much of this chemical, you put it together like that, and you measure it accurately, and then you mix it, and then you do this, you do this, you do this, right? It's like, no, it's not this way. They just do it like that. Looks the same? Not yet, right?
Even like less in color, right?
Mix a little bit more. Ah, yeah, now it's matching, and it's never like really academic way. It's different, right?
Yeah,
so and we can take the same for everything else. There is no like a proper very organized system. It's somewhat like organized chaos in a way.
You know why? Because the instinct of the furniture rely on the machinery, but also rely a lot in human. You know, some products like, especially in antique finish, you're gonna look different, unique on these products.
Correct.
So it's gonna have like different, experience on the workers who good or not, and who can do. You can look at the product and have the soul in there or not.
Yeah, man, and it's crazy how much it may be like it may be dependent on just one guy or a group of guys, the whole factory. I have a number of cases where we've been working with the factory, giving them the orders, they've been producing good quality, but then all of a sudden, boom, we see that quality is dropping, right? Mm. So we start to discover, okay, what happened?
Yeah.
And then usually it turns out that the owner of the business, owner of the factory, would have a fight or misunderstanding with the production manager, and then production manager would just leave and take all the key workers with him, and then boom, there is a drop, right? So it's crazy that how much things can be dependent just on one person.
That's one of the problems. So one people left, but like you said, that they're gonna tag the team, his team or her team, go follow him or her. Gonna be more problem.
Is it a very common thing in Vietnam?
Yeah, it's common.
And what are the steps to overcome it or not to face these problems?
I see that two ways to normally do is investing more in machinery in terms of production. So investing like machinery, so keep less rely on workers or managers. Second is in terms of office, back office, they're gonna do like more staff, procedures.
So they would work on organizational chart, describe the job description better, kind of break it down.
But some factory, they invest in some system ERP. There's kind of more technology put in there. If somebody left, it's not a big problem.
It's not depending just on one guy or a small group of people.
Yeah, because if we do it the old way, so that guy left like a drawing or how to make the product, he keep in his mind. Nobody else know that. That's a big issue.